What's up, guys? I'm Jack, and this is Daisy. And welcome to another video. Now, I've been craving this campaign for so long now, so I wanted to do a challenge run on it. Call of Duty Black Ops 1 was one of the first games that really got me into video games. Pokemon was definitely the first. Then my big brother introduced me to Halo 3 and ODST. Hi, Daisy. Halo Reach and Black Ops 1. And wow. This game, along with Halo 3, really made me fall in love with the first-person shooter genre of games. But what are the rules of this run? So this is a pistols-only run, so of course we can only use pistols. That being said, we're not going to always have access to them, so I will also be allowing grenades, melees, and any special weapons, such as the Death Machine. Rule number 2. Steiner, Kravchenko, and Dragovich must die. Also, no glitches or exploits, and we're doing this on veteran difficulty. Let's get started.
The police are gonna be here soon. Let's make this quick.
So we start off with one of my favorite intros to any campaign ever. Just a lighter being lit in a black room. We're in Cuba, the Bay of Pigs. Our target is a certain communist dictator that resides in Cuba in the 1960s. For most of the campaign, we'll be playing as Alex Mason, one of the best soldiers that the United States has, anywhere. We quickly get accosted by the police, and Woods takes one out with a knife, while we shoot another with our gun. Thankfully, we start off with a pistol, and this gave me a lot of hope for this campaign. I didn't do any research before starting this, so I did not know if it was even possible to just use pistols. Spoilers, it's not. And since we're minorities, we do get shot at by the police, and that's when we try to make our escape through this alleyway back here. Thankfully, there is a vehicle stationed there, just sitting ready for us to escape in. Nice, that was lucky. So we hop in and try to drive away. Thankfully, and somehow we have not had any deaths yet, which is great. Though we do white out here and spawn in somewhere else. Apparently, we found the compound of this communist leader. We sneak our way in, and I choke a guard over here, and thankfully I still have my pistol. Though this is when I start to realize that ammunition might be a problem, because up to this point I haven't seen any enemies who have dropped their own pistols. Which is when I walked over a Scorpion. Now, this kind of looks like a pistol, right? So I actually did a little bit of research, and technically it can be considered to be a pistol. Now, I'm only going to use this once I run out of ammo with my regular pistol, but with weapons and a few others that can be technically defined as pistols by somewhere on the internet, we are going to be allowing the use of them because, well, for more than half the campaign, we don't really get access to regular handguns like the M1911 or things like the Makarov or the Python. So pretty much as long as some random idiot on the internet says it's a pistol, we're going to call it a pistol. Now this hallway has introduced me to my first few deaths, and we get a cool scene here. These slow-mo breach and clear scenes are some of my favorite in all of the Call of Duty campaigns. They're always fun. And since we've run out of ammo with our regular pistol, we're gonna have to start using the Scorpion, which honestly isn't great. Soon after, we get another breach and clear scene, and somehow we have magically gotten more ammunition for our old pistol, tweak out a little bit, and then shoot this dude right in the face. His girlfriend then picks up a gun, tries to kill us, but doesn't quite work out her way. After that, we are introduced to our next couple of deaths and another death hallway, which is not fun. But eventually, after dying a bunch, we can finally move on and make our escape to the outside. We are getting shot up by communist forces, and when all hope seems lost, we escape. We run through a sugarcane field and down a hill where we find an airstrip and a plane that's waiting for us. If we can just get on that plane, we can make our escape and get back home for another mission. So I hop on, and well, the M60 really isn't a pistol, and I don't think anybody on the internet can make an argument for it being a pistol, so we're not going to use it. I was worried that this might get us killed, but thankfully it didn't. I guess you don't need to use that whatsoever in this part of the mission, and that's fine with us. So we hop out of the plane, and we have to shoot this barricade in order to allow our allies to escape. Thanks to our sacrifice, Woods has made it out alive, but that's when we get captured by the Russians. We wake up on a dock, and this is where we meet Dragovich. He says he's got some plans for us, and I do not like that look on his face. We wake up in a prison next, and we start fighting this homeless man. He gives us a good old right hook, and we give him one right back, which attracts the attention of the guard. This homeless man calls out to the guard, which gives us a second to grab a thick rock and smack this guard on the back of the head. We've gained consciousness right in the beginning of an escape plan, and we've just completed step 1. Secure the keys.
Every journey begins with a single step.
This is step 1! Now, we take Vorkuta! What is step 2?
Also, if anybody here has done the Origins Easter egg, the zombies map in Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3, the Easter egg steps are the same as the steps from this mission, which is one of my favorite callbacks in Call of Duty history. With the doors to the mines open, we've completed step 2, escape from darkness. Third step is rain fire. But in order to do that, we gotta make our way past this machine gunner. And we've got a plan. We hop right behind this giant coal mine cart, and that'll protect us from any bullets. Though I'm gonna have to take out any guards that come and try to fight us along the way, which at the time didn't seem like a pretty big issue, though later on this mission I will learn that.
I've made a huge mistake.
We keep pushing the cart, and eventually our fellow inmates chuck a bomb at the machine gun tower, taking it out. Rain fire has been completed. On to step 4. We made our way through the compound a bit, got onto a roof, and started slinging these flaming diapers at buildings to destroy them. It worked out pretty well. This is when I learned of my mistake. I had used up way too much ammo shooting those guards when we were pushing that minecart, which left me with nothing to use against these upcoming enemies. But 15 minutes and 17 deaths later, I had made it to the top where I had picked up a harpoon gun so we can complete step 4, skewer the winged beasts. And with said winged beast skewered, it was time to complete step 6, wield a fist of iron. So we gotta make our way to the armory, which is right in front of us. And in the armory are lots of enemies, and I still don't have any ammunition, so all I can do is run up and knife them.
Step 6.
And it does not go well.
Step 6. Wield! This way!
After I wasted about 20 minutes and 10 more deaths, I decided that I should probably just reset this mission and make sure that I have some ammunition for this part of it. So that's exactly what I did. I saved as much ammo as I possibly could, letting the prisoners do the bulk of the work for most of this mission, which left me with about 55 rounds in my pistol. So that's pretty solid. So after making my way through this building over here in the armory, we gotta get to the garage, because in the garage, that is where they have a thing. It's kind of like a welder, but like cuts through metal. I don't know what that's called. A plasma cutter? A blowtorch, apparently? There's no way that's cutting through a freaking vault door. You kidding me? Okay, we pick up the magical blowtorch. Some heavily armored dudes bust through the garage door, and I let the other prisoners take care of it. With those big armored dudes taken care of, it was time for us to protect Reznov while he burns through a vault door with the blowtorch. And by the way, these two guards up here, that's why I needed ammunition. I can't move on without taking those two out, and I needed a pistol in order to do so. So with those two guards on the roof finally taken care of, and these two in the hallway also taken care of, we can move on with the rest of the mission. And I'm already at 38 deaths. We pick up the death machine, and since it's a special weapon, we are allowed to use it, though that doesn't matter much because we still die almost instantly. And then since we got a really bad checkpoint, we die again, and again, and again, just trying to get in the door to get the death machine. Eventually I grab it, make my way through the building, decimating everything in my path and blowing up a bunch of trucks with this monster. And man, I am having a blast. I love this campaign. It's so much fun. This is definitely nostalgia talking, but And this game truly is a masterpiece. I run out of death machine ammo eventually, and I have to start sniping with my pistol, and I only have around 13 rounds left in it, so that's not great. I did make it pretty far until I got blown up by a vehicle next to me, but that's fine. We eventually make it past that area, and we've unlocked the next checkpoint. The guards chucked tear gas at us, and I guess Mason wasn't ready for that and he passed out. The Reznov was completely fine, picked us up, and carried us over here to the garage where he found some bikes. And with these bikes, we're gonna make our escape. Step 8, freedom. What was step 7? I forgot. So we follow Reznov through the outskirts of the prison camp, and I learned that I can shoot. And I'm hoping that I have a pistol, but I have a shotgun, and you guys are gonna pretend like you didn't see that, and we're gonna continue on with the mission. We hop onto this big truck right here. It's got a turret on the back, and I really hope I don't have to use this. Alright, looks like we're gonna have to use this turret. Eventually, Reznov drives us right up to this train right here and instructs us to jump. We barely make it onto the side of the train, climb up the ladder, and looks like this is going to be the last that we see of Viktor Reznov. After we get back to America, President Kennedy himself summons us, and we're tweaking out here.
We are in grave danger from the communists. Dragovich.
Kennedy tells us that we are the best and we have to take out Dragovich. He's a threat to our national security, and it's our job to destroy this monster once and for all.
Mr. Mason, take care of it.
We wake up in Russia, a missile compound controlled by the Soviets. We cannot allow them to launch these rockets, so we need to get in there, sabotage the rockets, take out Dragovich, and prevent World War III.
Something's wrong. There's way too much activity. Yankee 1-3.
Unfortunately, Kravchenko, Dragovich's right-hand man, was one step ahead of us.
Weaver's done.
He captured our buddy Weaver, and he's torturing him. We have to save Weaver. So, Woods and I sneak up to these two guards right here, take them out, and steal their clothes. This will allow us to sneak past any other future guards, which will make sure that we don't have to, fight an entire missile compound on our own.
Could have helped your Russian, Mason.
Also, my Wi-Fi's been out for like over a day now. It's getting really annoying. Just wanted to complain about that real quick. But we sneak past some sharks. Bowman right here is beating the ever-loving crap out of that dude. And then we die. But once Woods breaches his door, we walk up on this unsuspecting soldier and bash his head into those tape thingies. Are those computers? I think those are computers. Like really old-fashioned computers, you know? We knife some dudes, shoot them with our Python, and then we get to the top where we have to use this crossbow that has explosive bolts in order to continue the mission. We gotta protect Bowman and Brooks with this. We blow up some vehicles and take out some enemy soldiers, while Bowman and Brooks make their way up to where our squad mate is being held. This also gives us a chance to set up a zip line in order to get to Weaver down there. So we hop on the zip line, and oh no. Well, I tried to not use the SMG at first, of course, but yeah, it didn't work out too well. So once again, we are forced to use a weapon that is not a pistol. So we take out these guards down here and free Weaver. But I also find a PM-63 on the ground, which, and I looked this up too, that can technically be considered a pistol. So we have something. We have something. Though honestly, that did not make the rest of the mission any easier. I might have even finished it quicker if I didn't have any weapon, because then I would have been forced to let my squad mates do all the work. Instead, having a weapon forced me to go out and try to fight and end up getting me killed probably over 100 times by the end of this mission. The worst part is that we actually have a 5-minute timer which means we can't take our time and play things slow and strategically. We have to step out of cover and we have to put ourselves in danger. Thankfully, I do find a Makarov, which means I have 2 types of ammunition, though I do die almost instantly after picking it up, but not too long after I do make it past, get a checkpoint, plant the C4, and now we've completed the timed aspect of the mission, so thankfully we don't have to worry about that timer anymore. We blow a hole into this bunker. I don't know why we couldn't have used the front door, but that's fine, and we gotta try to stop the rocket from launching. Try as we might, there's nothing that we can do, except pull out this conveniently stashed Valkyrie missile and shoot the rocket out of the sky. Which, while awesome, how did that get there? But anyway, this part of the mission was living hell. Keep an eye on the deaths. This is my first attempt at this part of the mission. We're at 72 deaths in just about 2 hours. Thankfully, we find a bunch of PM63 ammo on the ground and a PM63 with an extended mag, so we pick that up, and we gotta slowly make our way through this next room, which is full of enemies. Thankfully, it has some cover in it, so it shouldn't be too difficult, right? Well, cover doesn't mean much when you die in 3 shots. And when our enemies have auto-aim that is just as strong as that of MW3 Warzone player. So we slowly make our way into the next room, trying to take out as many enemies as we could, as safely as we can. And, I mean, it worked out well for a minute. And then I died, and died, and died. I got better at starting this mission. I learned I can just run up and jump and shoot these 2 guys right here, take them out. But that didn't always work, because sometimes I would miss my shots and die there. Or, you know, I would make it past the next room and clear it out, and then there was this hallway of death, which was great, except it didn't save a checkpoint, so it would send me all the way back to the beginning. And then I would have to clear that next room over and over and over again. And the funny thing is, this mission actually relied on RNG. If you look at my ammo count, yeah, it wasn't always that high. A lot of the times it would only give me like around 100 rounds, which wouldn't even last me to the end of the next room. And then I would be completely... What are you doing, Weaver? Anyway, yeah, I would be completely empty for the remainder of the mission, basically. So on top of clearing these enemy-infested rooms, I would have to have good luck and get enough ammunition to actually be able to continue the mission after clearing this next room. So, yeah, it was just horrible. I was getting better at it, and I learned that, you know, you have to play a bit more aggressively than you would think. The quicker you clear out the enemies, the safer you're going to be, essentially. So sometimes it is better to just charge in there, get as many takedowns as you can, and get behind cover. Now, the one saving grace of the hallway of death was that there's a lot of cover in it, thankfully. And it was at this point that I decided I was going to start using my grenades and smoke grenades. And the smoke grenades sometimes worked, occasionally. Also, look at that, we just hit 150 deaths in 3 hours, so yeah. Eventually I did manage to get past all this BS, and I grabbed a checkpoint in this next room, and finally, purgatory was over. Oh, thank God. 75-ish deaths and over an hour of attempts, and we finally made it.
Got the hell out of here. Not yet. I'm going after Dragovich.
We searched the rest of the compound for Kravchenko and Dragovich, but turns out Kravchenko had already escaped. Dragovich, we thought, was in a limousine, and we blew up that limo, but we never confirmed the kill. Big mistake. You always confirm it. But with that, we are in Nam. Now, I thought that, you know, maybe this mission would be a bit easier, and my nightmare would be hopefully over, but I was wrong. And that was because for the entirety of this mission, or at least 95% of it, we don't get access to any pistols. So how are we gonna... How are we gonna do this? Well, we can't really run up and melee everybody, because that would get us dead very quickly, especially in the areas with high enemy density. but we do have grenades. So we have grenades and we have melee, and that's it. Good God. This is gonna suck. Well, we landed with Hudson, and well, he briefs us and Woods on the mission. Woods ignores him. Gotta love this guy. And Woods gives us an overview of kind of what we've been doing here in Nam. And of course, mere moments after we land in this camp, it gets attacked and bombed and all the action. We crash the vehicle and get thrown straight out of it. Thankfully, we're okay, but we don't have a weapon. Again, we did not spawn with a pistol, and we're not going to find one for most of this run. So I crawl through the trenches and allow all of my teammates to do all of the work until I get jumped on by a Vietnamese soldier, and we gotta fight back. Thankfully, we press X enough times, pull the pins on his grenade, push him back a couple feet, and wow, those grenades are pretty bad. You know, I think they have a 40-foot deletion radius in real life, but I guess in Call of Duty they only have a 4-foot deletion radius. So anyway, I chuck all of my grenades, trying to get as many takedowns as I can, and I just stay back behind my squad mates for most of it, letting them do most of the work. I also picked up an AK-47 with a grenade launcher, which is going to be incredibly helpful for once we run out of throwable grenades. I mean, grenade launchers, it shoots grenades, so that still counts, right? Well, I think it still counts. Anywho, with our new weapon in hand, we continue to make our way through the trenches, and we end up grabbing a rocket launcher. This is so that we can take out a couple of tanks that are threatening us, and we do pretty well with it. I do put the rocket launcher back down and pick up another weapon with a grenade launcher, so now we have 2 grenade launchers and 4 grenades, so that's something. We got some ammunition. We got this. We also find a China Lake, and this is the next part that gave me help. Now, it didn't take nearly as many attempts as, you know, that last mission, but each attempt did last significantly longer. I would always start by trying to get as many grenades shot off as possible to destroy as many people down there as possible. And every time we got shot, the flinch was ridiculous. It would throw our shot off so much, which I guess is realistic. If you're getting shot in real life, you're not going to aim too well, but still annoying because, you know, our grenades are a finite resource. And we basically just stay behind cover as much as possible. Wait a second. Is that Sergeant Pepper? That's a good one. I like it. Good job, Black Ops. Good reference. But yeah, we can really only peek for half a second, get a grenade off, and then get behind cover and heal before we can shoot another one off, so this took a while. I also didn't realize that the enemies spawn in endlessly until you keep moving up and down the hill. And I guess at the beginning of this section, Woods will say something about lighting napalm barrels on fire or something, and I didn't pay attention to that, and well, I guess that's the objective, and this part of the mission doesn't complete until you complete that objective, which led to a lot of unnecessary death. But eventually I do listen to Woods as we start the mission and figure out that, you know, I actually need to do something down there. So on my good final run, I do take out as many people as I can on my way down, run up to these barrels, hold X, and chuck them down there. This completes that part of the mission, and we can finally move on. We run to the top of a new hill and almost get blown to bits. We got knocked to the ground, and thankfully we are still alive. And when we look up again, we actually see Woods charging a Vietnamese soldier. But unfortunately, his gun jams, he gets knocked to the ground, and he's about to die. We pull out our Python, which... Wait a second, we have a Python? We've had a Python this whole god time? Do you have any idea how much time that would have saved us? Whatever. We save Woods' life, and we continue moving on through the bunkers. I find this rocket launcher that's on the back of a truck, blow up some tanks, and that's the mission. That's it. We're done. Good lord. I'm gonna have to go back and bleep out so many curse words in this frickin' video. That's gonna be fun. Yeah. Also, if you guys like this sort of content and you want to see more videos that aren't just Elden Ring, please let me know in the comments or by liking the video. that will let me know to do more videos, again, that are not just Elden Ring. Maybe I'll do Black Ops 2, I don't know, the Halo series. I'm sure there are plenty of challenge runs, again, that are not Elden Ring. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you like this style of content, or by liking the video, and if you want to subscribe, please go for it. I would not mind at all. Now I end up swapping the Dragon's Breath shotgun that we got at the beginning of this mission for an FNFAL with a grenade launcher. I probably could have kept using the shotgun just because it's a special weapon and that does go with our rules, but you know, I didn't want to. It honestly would have been too easy. Anyway, we bust through a door, almost die, but then Reznov saves us? I thought he was dead. How did he escape Vorkuta? I never thought I'd see him alive. Well, apparently he's here with a warning. He gives us some papers, some documents that tell us about an imminent attack on the United States. We gotta get this info back to the Pentagon. So we try to make our escape, pick up a radio from this dude right here, and we use it to call in some airstrikes. Apparently we've had a god that we can just call in whenever we need to in our back pocket, and we've just never used it. And apparently it is a vengeful and merciless god, because look and listen to what it does to this building right here. Yeah, I think they're dead, buddy. Well, with our I win button in hand, we decimate everything in our path. We also have a couple grenade launchers and a bunch of grenades, so that helps as well. Again, no pistol, but I should have seen that coming. I should have done more research before this challenge, but it's fine. I'm having fun, and I hope you guys are too. Don't get me wrong, this mission isn't a cakewalk. We still die a bunch, and then I got trapped in this room with no way of escape. I thought I had to go through the window, so I look around a bunch and I couldn't find anything, and I try to climb through the window, but it just won't let me. I end up shooting because I get angry, and apparently that worked. Okay. Finally, we make it to the water where we're waiting for a boat so we can escape, and we just gotta guard the premises until the boat gets here and we can make our way out of here. So I launch a bunch of grenades at my enemies, and thankfully I have a lot of fellow soldiers with me, and all of my enemies are focusing on the other soldiers rather than just me. Well, until I try to get on the boat at least. Well, thankfully with about 10 seconds left before the boat leaves, I hop on, Reznov and Bowman make it, and then Woods heroically jumps on with an explosion in the background. This next mission involves us playing as Hudson, the CIA dude, and our goal is to extract Clark right here, the scientist on the Russian side, and he's got a secret weapon. No, it's not Nova 6, though he does have that as well. Now our goal right here is to blow up every single Nova 6 canister back there in order to get a secret tape. Now I didn't get that on my first try, or well, like my 10th try, but eventually I did manage to get the tape by blowing up all the canisters, and again it took a lot of tries and I died many times, but while I'm attempting this I do see a Kipparus on the ground, and well, that is technically a pistol. The same run I also managed to grab the tape, which is good, but the Nova 6 had come up too far and I couldn't escape. Eventually I managed to get the tape and escape. Hey, that rhymed. And I grabbed a Kipparus as well. And you'll see what the tape is for later. It's an optional thing, but I think it adds a lot to this mission. I continue making my way forward with my dual CZ75s, and finally we have some weapons that we can use. I pick up a full auto CZ on the way, and I chose that over the dual wield just because I like to be able to aim, personally. And we do this sick building to building jump that we somehow survive. I guess those tiny mattresses broke our fall. Weaver and Clark push a refrigerator out of the way that was hiding a secret armory. Good lord, look at all those weapons. And we put the tape in this tape player right here. After waiting a few minutes, a secret weapon appears on the wall, the Thunder Gun. I trade some of my weapons for it, and now I have a Thunder Gun and a CZ75. This is a special weapon, and there is no way in hell I am not using it during this run. Now it does only have 12 shots, so we do have to be careful about when we use it. so I only pull it out in the most dire of situations and whenever I feel like blasting away some communists. This area right here did give me a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, there are a lot of enemies that spawn in, and a lot of them have snipers and hide in buildings that are far away. Which, as you can imagine, it's pretty difficult to hit a target with a pistol, and that's about 100 meters away. So, yeah, we had some trouble. Thankfully, though, we didn't really have to worry too much about ammo conservation, because I started off this checkpoint with nearly 500 rounds in my CZ. Or I guess 500 rounds for my CZ. Eventually, we make it past that area after about 20 attempts, and we gotta find our way down to the street level in order to escape. There's a van waiting for us, and we gotta make it there in time. We slide down a pipe and make our way on top of these wires right here. That's when we see some enemies below us, and I blow them away with the thunder gun. And we hop down to continue making our way forward. Unfortunately, Weaver was right below me and pushed me off the edge. Thankfully, I had a checkpoint, so I didn't have to redo everything over again, but it was still kind of annoying. We get this sick slow-mo slide down a roof, and thankfully I don't get killed there. Find my way into some cover, and I take out the rest of the enemies there. After that, I get another cool slow-mo scene, and I just blow them away with the thunder gun. I love it so much. And we're allowed to continue making our way forward. And we're almost done with the mission. We got some sick rooftop to rooftop jumping sections here, and once again, I am knocked off the map, though this time it was by Clark, not Weaver. So he causes my death. This time I let him jump first, then hop on after him. He slips and falls, we get caught by Weaver as we're falling, and then we catch Clark as he is about to drop. Unfortunately, when he's about to tell us the secret to the plan, he gets got. After a Nerf dart enters and exits his skull, we let him drop because he's of no use to us anymore, and we gotta make our escape before we also get got. Thankfully, our enemies cannot aim, and we can hop down the rest of the way to the end of the roofs, and that's where our van is gonna be waiting for us. Now, as we fall to the ground, once again, we learn that our enemies simply cannot aim. God, these are the worst soldiers I've ever seen in my life. And our van arrives, which allows us to make our great escape and complete the mission. Cut to black. Fade in with Reznov telling Mason a story in Vorkuta. It's the 1940s, the end of World War II, and we fade into a snowy tundra. The Soviets are trying to board this ship that was abandoned by the Germans in World War II. There is a special weapon on it that we need to grab. Dragovich and Kravchenko are leading this operation. Apparently, we are here to capture a German doctor. Dr. Friedrich Steiner. Sounds like after World War II, the Russians had an Operation Paperclip of their own. So we gotta fight our way through this little ice town in order to get to Dr. Steiner, and while I don't have a pistol, I do have grenades and also a knife. Though it would have been really nice if one of these Germans had a Mauser. The MP40 kind of looks like a big pistol, right? Big, fully automatic pistol. I should just use that. Well, I didn't. I stuck with my knife and my grenades, and I died quite a few times. I also got trapped in a horrible little checkpoint and death cycle, which kind of sucked, but eventually I did manage to escape and continue my way through this ice town to get to the ship. I did get these smoke grenades that helped me to signal some mortar strikes, and that helped me to decimate my opponents every time I threw one. And there were about 12 that I could pick up and throw along the way. I also managed to find a steady supply of grenades from the dead Germans that were left in my wake. So getting through wasn't a huge issue, especially because I had a lot of squad mates to help out who could actually use their weapons. Eventually we did make it to where Steiner was being kept, and when we went in there he was kind of rude, considering that we were rescuing him, well, helping him to defect at least, and he has a Mauser and he doesn't give it to me, which is really annoying. He shows us the way to the ship, and we see Kravchenko torturing and permanently ending a bunch of surrendered German soldiers. Finally, though, we do get access to a pistol, though we don't really get to use it. We learned that these long-range V2 rockets are tipped with Nova 6 and that they were targeting DC and also Moscow. The Germans were planning on decimating their enemies with this deadly gas, but thankfully the British had stopped this attack from happening when they crippled the ship.
You have found what we were looking for. Mofus. Dragovich wanted to see the effects of the poison firsthand. It was a betrayal. I should have foreseen.
Unfortunately, upon finding this Nova 6, Dragovich turned on us and put us in a locked cell where we were forced to watch our fellow squad mates die in the next one. Thankfully, the British decided to attack at that very moment, which blew our cell door open, allowing us to escape, though we would have to fight through the Russians and the British in order to get to safety. With the power of my own grenades, I managed to break through the British line and the Russian line, though that would quite often end in me dying and then having to restart again. It took me about 20 deaths before I finally got the winning run, and that only gave us 3 minutes to escape. Just kidding, I let a walkway fall on top of me and kill me. I did manage to get there again after a few more tries, and we armed the explosives on the missile in order to sink this entire ship and keep Nova 6 out of the hands of the British and the Russians, which again gave us 3 minutes to escape the ship. I needed a way to get this walkway down, so I tried to knife this beam right here, but it didn't work, so I had to shoot it instead, unfortunately having to use a weapon that's not a pistol, but that's okay. The walkway was available for us to climb up, and we tried to make our escape outside of the ship, fighting through a bunch of British and Russians on the way. I eventually just ran past everybody, thankfully they were missing their shots, and I got down this rope and made it off the ship just in time.
I had destroyed the Mofus shipment, prevented it from falling into the hands of the British. But I was a fool to think that the threat was over. Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner, these men must die.
Fade to white, back to Mason. We are back to Vietnam, trying to capture Kravchenko in the southern DMZ and hopefully eliminate him. We wake up after our helicopter had crashed and we see that the pilot is unfortunately dead. The co-pilot's still breathing, but that doesn't last too long. Woods and I managed to grab a gun and take out our attackers before they can take us out. Thankfully, our gun is a pistol, so that's great. I'll get to use it for the rest of the mission, right? Well, anyway, our helicopter sinks, we get out, and I hop aboard this boat and grab a gun from this guy. Unfortunately, it's an AK-47, so I try to not shoot it, but it looks like I'm gonna have to. Yeah, they do not give you many choices as to what weapons you can use. That's okay though. If I do end up doing a Black Ops 2 pistol only run, I think they have loadouts or something that you can bring into the campaign missions if I remember correctly, so maybe that'll be a little bit easier. Anyway, we plant some C4 under these buildings and we set a trap for any Vietnamese soldiers who might be coming our way. We decide to detonate the explosives and raid this village to cause atrocities wherever we go. But I mean, they're communists, right? So technically they're not people. At least that's what people thought at the time. Now, although I don't have a handgun, I do have access to a grenade launcher on my commando, which is very nice, and it allows me to get some work in here. Thankfully, I also find a Scorpion right here, which, again, technically a pistol. So, we're gonna allow it. I also gotta pick up a Grim Reaper right here, another special weapon that, well, we have to use to destroy the target, and that we're allowed to use because it's awesome. And we blow up some houses and boats and make our way forward. We spam the Grim Reaper on basically all of our enemies because it's a lot of fun and I like it. And I get an achievement called Heavy Hand, which I don't know what that is for, but hell yeah. That's when we run into the rat tunnels, which, this could get dicey. I toss a grenade down there, but apparently it wasn't good enough because Woods decides to toss another grenade down there, which actually works, and it's time to hop down the tunnels. It's dark. We can barely see, but I have a pistol and a flashlight. I'd prefer to keep the flashlight off because, well, I don't want to give away my location, but when I turn it on, I do see Reznov hiding in the rat tunnels. I wonder how he got down here too.
I will work my way around.
Reznov says he's going to work his way around. We tell him to move quietly, and then Swift asks what's wrong with us. I don't know what he means. We were talking to Reznov right there. Idiot. And then Swift walks right into a trap and loses his head. We were pretty quick to the draw, but unfortunately not quick enough. With Reznov following behind us, we take out all the VC in our way and continue on in the darkness.
Which way, Reznov?
We follow our instincts and come across a secret room. And this room has a bunch of maps and computers and all this stuff, but unfortunately when we try to make our way out, it was rigged to blow, and we got to escape the collapsing tunnel, which gives me massive anxiety because that would be my worst nightmare.
I do not wish this rat hole to become my grave!
Mick, what the fuck happened? We're seeing fire from the tunnels. Where the hell are you? We'll maintain a holding pattern until we have eyes on.
Thank God we made it out of the tunnel. Now we just gotta find a way to make it down this cliff or, well, anywhere else basically. We're in a pretty bad spot here. That's when Woods shows up in his helicopter and we can hop on. And with that, I'm pretty hungry, so it's time for a break.
Let's get the f out of here!
Today I'm making some cauliflower steak. It's pretty good if you've never tried it, if you do it right at least. We start by preheating the oven to 425. And then I cut all these weird black spots off my cauliflower because I don't like them. They're probably perfectly fine. I just wanted to cut them off. Anyway, after that we chop our cauliflower into 3 thick slices. And this is where it gets the name cauliflower steak, because it kind of looks like a cut of steak. At least in terms of the general shape and thickness, I suppose. From there we put it on a baking sheet, basically drown it in olive oil or vegetable oil, cooking oil, whatever you got, and then we put it in the oven to cook, because it is going to take a while to bake. Now while it's baking, we're going to need to make a sauce for it, so I crush up some garlic and chop it up a little bit and put that in a pan to saute. And when I saute any vegetables, I do it on medium-high heat with a bed of olive oil on the bottom. So for this I roughly chopped the garlic, put that in the pan, and went straight to cutting an onion. Now, I didn't have too many ingredients, so I was kind of just making up this sauce as I went, and it came out pretty good, though if you have a better idea for a sauce for this, definitely do that. I was looking for something that was both salty and also bright, so I used avocado as the base of the sauce, because avocado is usually pretty bright. And I basically just blended that up with the sauteed onions and garlic, and some extra olive oil, as well as a little bit of mozzarella cheese in there. Again, I didn't really have too many ingredients, so I was just making this up as I went. But once everything was nice and blended up, it actually turned out to be a very decent sauce. And while we were cooking that, our cauliflower has also been cooking a bit. So I actually take it out of the oven now that it's nice and soft. I put some salt on it, as well as some paprika, flip it over, and then I do salt and paprika again. Normally you season it before you put it in the oven, but I completely forgot to, so we're doing it halfway through the cooking process. And after about 40 more minutes in the oven, I top it with a bit more mozzarella cheese, put it back in for a couple minutes so the cheese melts, and then we can prepare our plate. So I put the sauce on the bottom of the plate, make it a big circle because, I don't know, that's fancy chef stuff, right? And then we just put our cauliflower steak on top of the sauce. Easy stuff. It was salty, sweet, soft, delicious. The sauce went pretty well with it, though I think I could have found a better one. Back to the game. With the coordinates to Nova 6 in hand, we know our next mission. So we hop on a boat and head down the river while some awesome music plays in the background. And we cause some mayhem and some destruction wherever we go. We destroy everything in these little fishing villages because though there may be civilians here, there are also VC here. And who cares if the civilians get in the way, right? We are red-blooded Americans, and we don't think about that sort of stuff. We make our way down the river into a landing point where we can continue on foot. Once again, we don't have access to a handgun or a grenade launcher, but we do have 4 grenades, so that's great. I die a bunch and slowly crawl my way to the next checkpoint where finally I have a saving grace. I get charged by a Russian soldier who's wielding a PM-63 of all things, which we can use. It doesn't have much ammo, but it's better than nothing. And with our new weapon in hand, we can take out all of the Russians in our path, and the VC I suppose. And that'll lead us to the path that takes us to the path that leads us to the path of a plane that had crashed. And on said plane is where the Nova 6 is supposedly stashed. I run up the wing of the plane, make my way inside, and the Nova 6 is gone. But we do find a nice little China Lake in this box right here, which shoots grenades, so that's something, and we use it to take out some VC that are right below us, shooting up at the plane. Eventually, a rocket hits the plane and causes it to break and collapse, and we're not in a good spot for that. We're wounded, but alive, and unfortunately we get captured once again by Dragovich and Kravchenko. Cut to an airplane. We're flying an SR-71, one of the coolest planes of all time, probably the coolest plane of all time, the Blackbird. And it's was the fastest spy plane of all time back in the 60s, and it went the highest, and it set all sorts of records. And it looks freaking sick. I love this thing. It is so cool. This mission is basically a mini Halo Wars where we just order, Hudson and his team to go take out some people and infiltrate a base. And I'm just going to skip that part because it's really boring. And then we get to play as Hudson after having infiltrated said base. Kind of. We are in the frozen tundras and mountains of probably Siberia. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention when they played the intro screen, but I'm guessing we're in Siberia right now. In this mission, we get 2 options. We can go in quiet or we can go in hot. And I've never gone in quiet. I've never done the stealth route in this mission, so I wanted to try it out. So of course, the crossbow being one of our only weapons and the other one being an assault rifle, we're only going to be using the crossbow for this part of it. So we take out each and every soldier silently and quickly, allowing our teammates to quickly clean up the other ones, and I find a Scorpion here. So I trade out my AUG for a Scorpion, though I also run into some CZ75s, and well, that's more of a pistol than the Scorpion, so we grab a full auto CZ, and we continue on. We once again pull out the crossbow to take out these enemies stealthily. We take out the one on the right, and our teammate takes out the one on the left, and we only have a few more to go. I missed my first shot on this guy because apparently he's too far away for a crossbow to hit, and I get a bit closer. This allows me to get a much better shot on him. Thankfully he didn't notice my first one, and we take him out. There's one more guy in the garage, and I could shoot him now, or I could wait a second for his buddy to pop up. That way the alarm doesn't get raised. And trust me, I didn't get this on my first try. That's how I know that some guy is going to walk out from behind that snowmobile thing. He does. I take him out first. And then I shoot his buddy in the garage. And that leaves one enemy left before the stealth part of this mission is complete. Last guy, bottom of the stairs, I scope in, shoot a bolt, he's done, and we get the Mr. Black Op achievement for doing this stealthily. So that was fun. We bust open a door in the comm station and take out everybody in our path, including some scientists. You guys ever stop to think that maybe the US government wasn't always doing the right thing back then? At least in this video game, not in real life. They would never do anything like this in real life. But we take out communications, a rocket hits us, and that triggers an avalanche. Unfortunately, we lose, Harris? We lost Harris. And we have to run to escape the avalanche. That works way too well. I need a minute, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Who the hell is Harris? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we're playing as Hudson again. We're on a Hudson mission. And we jump right off this cliff, which is the perfect place to jump because there's nothing below us that we will immediately hit. And we'll get a second to deploy our parachute and land safely, only a couple hundred feet above the ground. Now that we've landed, the three of us have to take out an entire base of soldiers to escape. I don't know how much ammunition I'm going to have throughout this fight, so I do try to be careful about how much I shoot with this gun. But thankfully, we've had a surplus of ammo this entire time, so that's good. After a couple deaths, we eventually make it through, and then we get a transmission from Steiner who tells us that an attack on the US is imminent and that there are sleeper agents who, once they hear a specific broadcast, will release Nova 6 all over the United States. We hop on this truck, and since it's not a pistol, I don't shoot anybody, of course, ever at all, and we make our escape. Cut back to Mason and Woods. We're being held captive by the VC and the Russians, and it's not looking good. We need to make a plan. Now, the VC over here, they want us to play some Russian roulette, and they made a few mistakes here. The first mistake was putting Mason and Woods together. The second mistake was giving Mason and Woods a gun. After arguing with the VC captors, Woods does take his shot, and thankfully, he's safe. We look him in the eye, and we know what to do. It's time. The guard orders us to take the gun to our own head, so we do. But only for a second. As we grab hold of the gun, we put it to our skull, and we know exactly what needs to happen. Ready? Just like that, our escape has begun. And thankfully, I still have a CZ75, so we have a weapon to use. That's crazy. We slowly make our way through the compound, destroying everybody in our path. We eventually catch up to the Russian who is holding us captive, and I chuck a grenade at him. And he falls down and dies. Now, unfortunately, I have run out of ammo for my CZ75, and I can't seem to find another weapon that'll work. But I do have Woods by my side, and he does have ammunition, so hopefully he can handle all the guys guarding this helicopter. Unfortunately, Woods was having some trouble aiming, so I was forced to slowly make my way up to where the guards were guarding, and try to get some melee takedowns on them. So I sprint, jump, and dolphin dive cover to cover, hoping to find a weapon that I can use, but I don't, and eventually I do make it up to where they are, which coincidentally gives Woods the courage to move up with me. And he takes out most of the guards by himself once he gets a bit closer. But we're not completely useless, and we run up to the very last guard, and we're able to take him out just fine. And this, my friends, is where we ascend to godhood. Now, we certainly will not be a merciful god, we will be a vengeful one. And we're going to destroy everybody in our path. And that's exactly what we do. We take out a bunch of bridges, a bunch of, I guess, water pipes or oil pipes maybe, I'm not too sure, and destroy all of the healthy farmland that these farmers have cultivated throughout the years. Oh, and the NVA defenses, too, yeah. Our helicopter gets pretty damaged, which forces us to land and make our way forward on foot. Thankfully, I have Woods with me, and there's no way we can lose. I find a full auto CZ75 and a bunch of ammunition for it, which is amazing, and we continue to make our way forward. I do die a bunch fighting these guards up here, but with a weapon we can actually use, it's not too difficult to make our way through. Eventually, we find the entrance to a cave where we learn that some Americans are being held captive, and we need to help them to escape. and once we help them escape, we might have some more squad mates. We do get charbroiled a bit there, but we did get a checkpoint, and that allowed us to make our way through pretty quickly and free our fellow Americans. And, well, Reznov is there too. Not sure how he got captured as well, but he's here, and apparently Kravchenko is here too. And you know what needs to happen. Kravchenko must die. And with Reznov and Woods at our side, there's no way we're gonna lose. So we free the Americans, arm them up, and it's time to get these boys out of here. Well, it's time for them to get out of here. I got something I need to take care of first. So I get whacked with a chair. Woods pops in, fights Kravchenko a bit, but this guy is a beast and absolutely slams Woods down, walks up to us, and is about to finish the job. Now, as we're being beaten to death, I can't help but wonder where Reznov went. He was right behind us. He should be here. He should be taking down Kravchenko right now. But instead of Kravchenko rescuing us at the last second, it's actually Woods who comes up from behind, stabs Kravchenko in the back. But unfortunately, well, Kravchenko doesn't let go, pulls the pin on his own grenades, and we've lost Woods. It's just us now. But that's Kravchenko down. 2 more to go. Steiner and Dragovich. Rebirth Island is our next mission. It's the source of Dragovich's poison. Steiner is here. We have to take him down. So we sneak in, take out a guard with a hatchet, and we have to make our way through, sneaking through the encampment and not getting spotted by the helicopter that will definitely decimate us if it detects us. With Reznov leading the way, we manage to sneak into the facility without being seen, and we silently take down everybody in our path along the way. Eventually, we find our way into an elevator shaft that leads us to the Soviet lab, where Dr. Steiner is hiding. And I haven't found a pistol yet, and unfortunately I can't get through this area without taking out these 2 guards. So I wait for as long as I can to see if there's any way to get past them, but there isn't. So we're forced to use our extra large pistol right here to shoot these 2 guards. And then we can make our way forward. And there was a lot of death here. But I find my salvation in an AK-74U that has a grenade launcher attached to it. Finally a weapon that we can use. Meleeing these guys wasn't really working too well. So with our bombs, we blow the bodies in our path to bits and continue breaking into the building. We also managed to find a Kipparis, which I didn't bother to look up if this was technically a pistol, but I mean, it looks like a Scorpion, so we're gonna say it's a pistol. I mean, come on, it's literally just a worse version of the Scorpion. Maybe a better version, I'm not too sure. With our weapon well in hand, we actually end up getting contacted by Hudson. He's here too. We are certainly not waiting for Hudson though. Reznov and I have a mission. Steiner must die.
I'm being executed. My name is Victor Reznov. And I will have my revenge!
I swear to God, that's how Steiner died. Reznov killed him right in front of me!
You're lying, Mason. You killed Steiner. We know you did.
Reznov got exactly what he wanted. Revenge.
We saw the report, Mason. Victor Reznov did not kill Peter Steiner. Hudson saw what happened.
Same day, Rebirth Island. We land there as Hudson once more, and we're in a hazmat suit, which doesn't heal quite like we do. So after taking a few shots, our hazmat suit breaks, and we're exposed to Nova 6, which is an instant death. And with enemies all around and no weapon for us to use that we can actually shoot with, we die a lot. I try using my grenades, and it works a little bit sometimes. And I try using my knife, and it works a little bit sometimes, but in the end, there's not much we can do. Our best option would be to be patient and to let our teammates do all the work. And that's exactly what I do. After getting shot a few times, I decide to hide in a corner and do my laundry while my teammates do all the shooting. And eventually all the enemies are dead, so I move on. And once we get into this house right here, I'm faced with the same problem once more. Another street full of enemies that I can do nothing against except die. So once again, I decide to hide in a corner and allow my teammates to do the work so I don't die. This gives me a chance to fold my laundry before I continue moving. And thankfully that guy missed, otherwise it would have been lights out for me, but death would be coming for me soon, as I was quite literally one shot away from losing my hazmat suit. And it did, but that's okay, because we did make it past the Nova 6 checkpoint, and we can continue on finally without having to worry about our hazmat suit. I did pick up an AK-74U with a grenade launcher on it, and I used that to try to snipe these dudes on the roof, and it takes a few tries, but I do eventually hit both of them. And with that, we can continue moving forward. I finally find a weapon that I can really use, a Kipperus, and that gives us some ammunition, but on the way we see all the carnage that Mason had caused on his path to revenge. And I think it's really cool that they left a trail of dead bodies from Mason's rampage. That was a really cool thing that they added, and the dude crawling away. It shows what an absolute beast Alex Mason is. And then we come to the lab where we see Mason beating Steiner to death and claiming he's Viktor Reznov, and he'll have his revenge before Mason shoots Steiner in the head and then Weaver. And then we get the gun out of Mason's hand and knock him out before he can do any more damage. This sucks because Steiner was actually going to defect and be an ally and help us stop the Nova 6 attacks, but with him dead, the only person who can help us now is Mason himself, and we need him to remember. Turns out Hudson was the one interrogating us this whole time. He comes in and he tries to jog our memory, and when that doesn't work, well, he lets us out. He thinks that we can still help. And we use that momentary slice of freedom to give Hudson the old 1-2 and make our escape. So we stumble through what I can only assume is the Pentagon while experiencing vivid audio-visual hallucinations. Turns out Mason had been brainwashed by Dragovich, and, well, Mason is a sleeper agent. And I'll let Hudson explain the rest from here.
Dragovich, Krashenko, Stein, all must die.
Dragovich brainwashed you, but Reznov had plans of his own.
Reznov, how'd you get out of Vorkuta? Never thought I'd see you alive.
He was never in Vietnam. The real defector with the Nova 6 dossier died during the attack on the MAC-V. He was never in the rat tunnels.
What the fuck's wrong with you? Integrity here.
This way. We cannot let him slip through our grasp.
He was never at Rebirth Island.
Mason! My name is Viktor Reznov, and I will have my revenge!
Mason, no!
Step 8, Reznov! Freedom! For you, Mason! Not for me!
Viktor Reznov's been dead for 5 years. He died at Vorkuta during the escape. All the years you thought he was with you, that was just in your mind.
I trusted him.
That's why it worked. It was their attempt at MK Ultra. Dragovich programmed you to kill Kennedy, but Reznov sabotaged you. He wanted revenge for all that Dragovich done to him. Dragovich, Kravchenko, Steiner, 3 new victims.
I saw it a long time ago.
We thankfully remember where the number station is, and this part made me laugh so hard. Where's the number station? Cuba. Puts on sunglasses, fade to black. That is gold. I once again ascend to godhood, take out a bunch of targets on top of the Rusalka, the ship that the number station is broadcasting from, and we spawn in with a MAC-11. Technically a pistol, I looked it up. So with a weapon we can actually use and a bunch of grenades, we managed to blow through everything in our path on our way to the number station. There are a lot of enemies in our way, but for now at least, we don't face many problems. Thankfully they forget how to aim, and we can break through the defense. I pick up a Valkyrie rocket and I launch it at a couple of helicopters in order to get them out of our way. So nice I was just laying there waiting for us to grab. This mission might not have been possible without it. I did reach some checkpoints, I did die a few times on the way, and we make our way to the bottom of the ship, where we think that the broadcast is being broadcasted from. If we don't stop this broadcast, all the sleeper agents that hear it will know to release their Nova 6, causing mass death and destruction across the United States. Up here I decide to shoot Hudson just because I'm still mad about him punching me in the face earlier. And we find a massive pit of water at the bottom of the ship. It leads down. We might be able to stop the broadcast with an airstrike, but Dragovich is still down there. And I'm not making the mistake of not confirming the death this time. Hudson decides to come with us, and we begin our descent into the dark below. So without wasting any time, we make our way down into the deep dark depths of the ocean, and into this secret underwater base. Are these like a real thing? Or I always see it in like Call of Duty games. They've got to be real, right? If they are, I'd hate to work in one. Good lord, one crack and I'd be so scared. Anyway, I find some dual-wield CZs, so we have 3 weapons that we can use now, which is wonderful. It's like the most we've ever had, almost. And every step that we take brings us slightly closer to Dragovich and our mission's completion. Though we're at the end, our troubles aren't over quite yet, and there were a couple of checkpoints where I died a few times. Having the dual-wield CZs is fun, but not very effective when you can't aim. But that's okay. Part of the structure flooded, sending us underwater. Before we drown though, we do regain consciousness, and we are able to make our way to the surface, just in time. This entire building is on the verge of collapse. We gotta be quick about this. Hopefully Dragovich is actually here, because if he's not, that would be a huge waste of time. Now this part right here is where I got most of my deaths during this mission, actually like all of them during this part of the mission. But eventually I did manage to find some full auto CZ75s, and that was a great help. It's much easier to focus on aiming when I don't have to pull the trigger every half a second. Anyway, we make our way to the control room, take out everybody in there, and that's when we finally see our target. And I'm just gonna let this part play out without any commentary, because, you know, it's the climax of the story.
You should have been my finest agent. It would have all been so much simpler. Dragovich! Innocent! I'm gonna kill you! Trying to my mind. Wait! You don't know anything! Tried to turn me against my own. Tried to make me kill my own president. Tried?
With Dragovich not breathing anymore, we have to find a way to escape the number station. So Hudson and I try our best to make our way outside, but, well, outside is underwater, and we left our scuba equipment in the other room. So, we take a big, deep breath of air and swim from the bottom of the ocean all the way to the top, hundreds of feet, without worrying about decompression sickness, which, I mean, to be fair, if you don't have a scuba suit, and this is your only chance at survival, I suppose you would take it. Reznov's words ring in our head. We did it. Kravchenko, Steiner, and Dragovich. All dead. We've done it. And we made it to the surface. God damn if this doesn't make me feel patriotic right here.
Mason! It is over. We won.
For now.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments or by leaving a like so I know to make future videos about, you know, Black Ops or Halo or other games that aren't Elden Ring. Please let me know. And if you didn't enjoy it, also let me know. I need to know these things so I can plan future content. But thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, go for it. It helps me out a bunch. But as always, your viewership is quite enough for me.
3,
Peace.
19, 0, 8, 11, 22.